WHIP, Phillies #1 college radio station.
We're back here at Phillies #1 college radio station, WHIP. Zach Gelb and Chase Sr. here with you. Now joining us on the hotline is a former Philadelphia Phillies manager, won the World Series in 2008 with the big club, and now is a senior advisor to Ruben Amaro Jr., and that's Charlie Manuel. Charlie, it's Zach and Chase here in Philly. How you doing?
I'm doing good, guys. I'm doing real good. I look forward to talking to you this morning.
Well, we appreciate you giving us a few minutes today, and I'm a Mets fan, but we always know the great run that your Philadelphia Phillies team went on, and it's always talked about here on campus back in 2008. When you look back at that team, what stands out the most to you?
I think of basically, like when I think about it, I think about the year that Pat Gillick came in, and the first year was there, and he changed the team around. You know, he made some trades at the deadline, and that put guys like Victorino Worth and guys like that. That put us in a position to kind of change our team around, develop those guys. Guys like Rollins and Utley and Howard were kind of coming into their own, and we just had a complete different outlook. We had a lot of talent with a lot of life, and we had characters and good players.
It was also a resilient team, and you guys were tough and did some special things here in Philadelphia. And I also remember that World Series Game 5 that you had that rain delay. What was the toughest part as a manager, keeping your guys focused, knowing the ultimate prize was so close away from winning that World Series?
Zach, when I think back about that, actually it wasn't that hard. I think we were in the it rained out there in what was 2 days, and we came back, and our guys actually was kind of they knew exactly what we had to do, and the biggest thing I remember, when we resumed the game, I looked over at Tampa's dugout, and it was real cold, and they was over these big winter breakers on and things like that, and dressed up like they were freezing. And our guys, if you go look at the video, our guys were running around. Some of them had on short sleeve shirts. They were all fired up, ready to go. And I knew I didn't have to say too much because that was a good sign.
The manager of the 2008 World Series champion Philadelphia Phillies joins us on the hotline. Phillies #1 college radio station, WHIP. Zach Gelb and Chase Sr. here with you. Charlie, it's Chase. It's an honor to talk to you. Thanks so much for joining us. Can you just take us through your emotions when the Phillies were able to escort the World Series trophy down Broad Street? There were so many fans that showed up to that parade, and I'll never forget your speech at Citizens Bank Park at the end of that parade.
Yeah, actually, that definitely was that was a highlight of my career. We won the World Series, and the parade was probably the biggest. That's the biggest thing I've seen in my career, and believe me, it was a big honor to be, just part of that. That was something that was phenomenal. Basically, everywhere you look, like north and south, east and west, all you seen was people. Just as far as you could look, and it was a very warm feeling, and just to see everybody, in the way they acted, they were excited and everything. And everything about the whole thing was real. It was nothing phony about it. It was nothing, nothing, joyful. And people were definitely having a great time.
Throughout your years here in the city of brotherly love, you know the passion that this city has for its sports teams. And before the 2008 World Series, this city went through a drought without a championship, and now you're forever glorified and enshrined in Philadelphia as a legend for bringing that trophy back to this city. How does that feel? Has that set in yet?
You know what? I think so. I think it definitely, it makes me feel really great because each year, we had the opportunity to win those division titles, and each year we went to the playoffs, and we got to the World Series in 2009, of course. But you remember on opening days of each year, we would have we would walk through the back part of the stadium, out front, in the center field area. And I used to stand out there with the fans, and and raise the flag that we got for our division winning and things like that. And over each year, in the course of the years, I come to realize really how important it was for us to win that World Series. And everything about it kind of changed things for about 5 years. You know, like as far as the way we played, and like everything was it was a tremendous run. But like, and the fans played a huge part in it. Like with their energy and the fact that they backed us.
We're spending a few minutes with Charlie Manuel, and Charlie, it was a lineup that struck fear into teams. All-stars, MVPs. Cole Hamels had a fantastic year. Brad Lidge was perfect. And it was a team that could never be counted out of any game. And it was a squad that also had a confidence and swagger that struck fear into the opposition. What was it like writing down a team on a lineup card knowing that the other team had feared the Philadelphia Phillies in 2008?
And, guys, I can honestly tell you, like, there's for about 5 years there, like every time I wrote my lineup, like I didn't really, it wasn't, it wasn't like that we had any problems. Like we were going to go out, we went out there for about 4 or 5 years or something in a row. Like, and every day was like we thought about the number one priority was to win the game. The attitude and the chemistry on our teams, it was the best I've ever been around. And I was in the game for 50 years, and and without a doubt, it was a very special team. It was loaded with talent, just like you said. But at the same time, we had the big winning attitude, and our swagger was, like the fact that, like it didn't matter if we were down or like what, like we will come back and win the game. And like it was everybody pulled together. Everything about it was a team effort.
And now you're the senior advisor to Ruben Amaro Jr., and the man that replaces you, as you know him very well, is Ryan Sandberg. And we all know that he has a great baseball mind. But what advice would you give Ryan about succeeding here in Philadelphia?
Well, yeah, you know what? I think he kind of, I think all over the years, like Jim, when he played in Chicago, he definitely got to come back to Philadelphia and play. And I think he definitely knows everything about it as far as the fan, like our fans and the town. I mean, the town, the city, and things, and the surrounding areas. I think it, I think he's pretty much got a, kind of got a hold on like what he is expected to do and has to do. And hey, I think the best advice I can give him probably would just leave him alone. Let him do his own thing.
The question's still out there if Dom Brown can be that franchise player. He's been inconsistent at time, and he's also shown some really bright stretches. What are your expectations, though, for Dom Brown this year?
He has a chance. Dom Brown has a chance to be like a big-time hitter. I've always said that. But he has to, like when he had a stretch last year, a month there where he was, like really things went good for him, and he showed, like what kind of talent he has with the bat, with the bat. But along the way, when you have stretches like that, and through getting experience and everything, you got to learn a whole lot about like how to try to be consistent with that. I think he's like any other young hitter. He has to be more consistent, and he should put up numbers. I think that he is definitely going to have to work hard and really improve in the outfield and actually become, like a solid player.
Charlie, when you look at this lineup, injuries have plagued this team the last couple of years, but 1 through 9, it's a good lineup mixed with some speed, some power, some guys that can make pitchers throw some pitches in any given at-bat, and the rotation is good with a young bullpen. Do you feel like this team might have another run or two left in the tank?
I feel like, I definitely feel like they can. I mean, things have to go right for them. They got to stay healthy. They got to go right. Of course, like the core players are still there. I mean, they have to put up their years, their average kind of years. It's like Utley, Howard, Rollins, Ruiz. I mean, if they just do like what they're incapable of doing, they don't have to have big special years. If they just do that and it comes together for them, yeah. I think that they're going to surprise some people. You never know when somebody like that. They need some consistency in the bullpen. You never know when some of those young arms might, come around to have big years because they do have the talent. They have hard throwers, and if they throw strikes, they got a chance. I think it's starting rotation right now. Hamels has to get back in there, and they got to keep it together. I think staying healthy and playing hard, and kind of like you said about the swagger and like the energy level, things like that. All that definitely has to pick up.
A few more minutes here with Charlie Manuel, the former manager of the Philadelphia Phillies, now a senior advisor to Ruben Amaro Jr. And you mentioned Cole Hamels. He's had those shoulder injuries, not expected to be back until late April. How concerned are you, though, with him with his health?
I think I think he's going to be back. Like probably by the end of the month. And they need him back as soon as possible because I think it Cliff Lee and Hamels and Burnett gives them three pretty top-notch starters, and and with Kendrick and them, there'll be some support with those guys, but at the same time, Hamels definitely is going to play a big part in the rotation.
Charlie, a few minutes ago you mentioned the bullpen, and it's been a little bit of a controversial part of this team. But when I look at the bullpen, yesterday they were lights out. Jake Diekman has some electric stuff. His slider was on the money yesterday and also has that fastball that can reach the mid to high 90s. B.J. Rosenberg showed some good stuff last year, as well as Antonio Bastardo, and we know what we're going to get from Jonathan Papelbon. It's a little bit of a young and unproven group, but have you seen some flashes of brilliance with the bullpen in the last couple of years?
Yeah, I think actually, especially down near the second half of the year last year, I think those guys got some experience in that, which really helped them. And now, yesterday, they did do good. But basically, that the more consistent they can be and give you outings like that, of course, your team that's a better your team is going to be. And I think at the talent side, I think it's just a matter of them really staying focused and relaxing, and getting some experience, and you're going to see them. Somebody's going to step up. Yeah, I feel like they got enough arms that they definitely somebody's going to step up and have a good season for them.
From 2006 to 2011, Ryan Howard averaged over 40 home runs, more than 130 RBI. In that stretch, he won the Rookie of the Year and an MVP award. But the last couple of years, he's obviously dealt with some injuries. What have you seen from Ryan? Obviously, the strikeouts might not decrease, but yesterday he showed he can still hit the baseball. He still has some power left. But did his confidence take a little bit of a hit there with those injuries?
Yeah, without a doubt. First of all, Ryan had a very serious injury. I don't think it, I think it definitely played a part in him really getting back in tip-top shape, and also being able to play consistently regular for say 25 or 30 games. I think yesterday was a good game for him, and I think what he's going to do is he's got to be able to play about 25 or 30 games in a row. And during that stretch of time, if he can get off and have a good week, say hit 4 or 5 home runs, and can knock in some runs and start enjoying the game and get his timing down and his confidence up. I think he's definitely still very capable of having a good season.
On the way out here with Charlie Manuel, final one with the 2008 World Series champion manager. You got a chance to have a great relationship with Jimmy Rollins. We all know what he means here to Philadelphia. He has that vesting option for next year. How special was it, though, to manage Jimmy Rollins?
Jimmy Rollins he's a tremendous player. I mean, he draws, for some reason, I think he draws a little bit more on the criticism side than he deserves. Yeah, sometimes he doesn't run out balls, guys, and you got to really stay on him about that. But he plays more than anybody on the team if you go look. And there for a while, during his career, Jimmy was he was playing every season. He was playing anywhere from 162 games to 155 to 162 games a year, and he's definitely a big force in the lineup. Like he got the big hit yesterday, of course, with the grand slam. But the guys I've always, in conversations with things, I used to sit and talk to people all the time, media, fans, people in the organization. Hey, I look at baseball sometime and I see it's hard to name 3 or 5 guys that run hard all the time. I mean, like when you say all the time. I mean, but Jimmy, for some reason, when he pops up for the first time at bat or something, he kind of slowly trots down to first. feels like it sucks the wind out of the stadium. But at the same time, Jimmy he's a character. He's a great player, and he's been real good for the Phillies.
Charlie, baseball brings back so many charming memories, and it's grown men playing somewhat of a kid's sport, and there's nothing better than the green grass and the stale smell of beer once you walk into the ballpark. But yesterday with opening day, what are the emotions of taking the field and sitting on the first step of the dugout, looking out on the field on opening day? Because it's almost like a national holiday here in the United States.
I think it's one of the greatest feelings you can have. I think everybody in the ballpark, every player that ever played a game, opening day is definitely special to you. And it's basically, you described it pretty good as what's going on, but just the thought of getting the season started, and also you want to get off to a good start. And believe me, those guys yesterday, when the season started, they were definitely trying hard, and every one of them was into it. And that's kind of how it goes. And I think the win yesterday definitely helped them because they came out of spring training and they were struggling offensively. And for them to put up 14 runs, that was big.
All right, Charlie, we appreciate a few minutes. Thanks so much. Let's do it again real soon.
Yeah, guys. It's nice talking to you.
Thanks, Charlie.
Charlie Manuel right there, former Philadelphia Phillies manager for 2008 World Series champion. We'll take our final break here of the day on the main event, and we'll be back right after these short messages.